This week on the Reel Watchlist Plus, we're doing the 1959 film North by Northwest. And the plot is a New York City advertising executive goes on the run after being mistaken for a government agent by a group of foreign spies and falls for a woman whose loyalties he begins to doubt. One of my top 4 Hitchcock films, Psycho, Vertigo, and Rear Window. Now listen, before we start, you do this thing called Cinesips, which I love. Sometimes it depends, because sometimes they're too strong and I can't drink them. So do you want to tell us about your cocktail?
Sure.
While we get into our episode?
Yes. So today we're doing the Hitchcock Martini, a classic version of the martini, and with a kind of an ode to Hitchcock. It's gin, dry vermouth, and a little bit of a twist. Mine is a twist of a lemon. It looks like a spiral staircase that Hitchcock is known for. And yours has a black olive, kind of
I have a feeling even if I eat my black olive, I'm going to be drunk.
So let's drink.
I'm going to... Let's talk about the film now. This is a really significant film. But before we do that, do you want to give our vote for this film?
Sure.
Okay, so we have our little paddles. And on the count of 3, down. 3, 2, 1.
9.
Wow. And I actually know
Wow.
what your thing is, because
What is
later
it?
on you're going to know. It's a plane, a biplane.
Kind of like what's on your head.
Yeah, yeah. And you'll see things later on with that. So this is, the reason I gave this film a 9 is because there is a superior Hitchcock film that I believe, but it does follow a script. Cary Grant said when he read this that he was so disillusioned, he read half the script that he didn't even know what Hitchcock wanted. Jimmy Stewart, who had been in Hitchcock films, wanted to be cast again. He really thought he had the part, but Hitchcock didn't want him. He wanted Cary Grant. So he delayed the picture so that Jimmy Stewart was caught up in Anatomy of a Murder. He already signed the contract, Joe. So because Hitchcock didn't want to burn a bridge with Jimmy Stewart.
Sure.
And Cary Grant took the role, and Cary Grant was like, Hitchcock thought Cary Grant would be more elegant. And actually, I might have a thing for you, a question later on if we don't get into it.
Sure.
Cary Grant was cast. Eva Marie Saint was cast. And the one thing great about Eva Marie Saint, who I always say, how does it refer to my life? She was friends with my mom. My mom was a big shot model in New York. But when she went on the set, her husband was so jealous that he said, how can you kiss Cary Grant every day and come home to me? And she did say, when she went on Turner Classic Movies for her interview with Robert Osborne, that she swooned, that he was a great kisser, and just his presence was unbelievable.
Well, they said that he doesn't kiss women, women kiss him.
I love the opening. Most people don't, but Saul Bass did the titles again. And it was very geometric with all the buildings and everything. And they swept in and out. But I loved it because the opening part was all about old New York. Train station, and everybody was elegantly dressed. And you could call a cab and it came. And women had dresses on. I like that old New York.
Mount Rushmore was really interesting that towards the end of the movie, where they were just like trying to evade the villains, and come to find out later that it was actually a set, because it looked real but kind of looked fake, but it was just like really fascinated, because you almost felt like they were going to fall off Mount Rushmore.
Well, how could it be the real thing? They would never allow that.
I know, but suspend disbelief.
I mean, we drove cross country to see it, and I was a little kid, and everybody went. Now it's kind of passé. People don't, I guess they still go there, but nobody talks about it, you know?
You know, Alfred Hitchcock, I love how he appeared in the beginning of the movie. Sort of reminded me of like Dan Lee when he appears in like the different Marvel movies. He talks about how he had to get Cary Grant into this movie, because Cary Grant was really known for his screwball comedies. I mean, he was He was very good looking. He played romances. He played comedy. But this was kind of out of the norm for him, not his typical role that he played. And he really tried to pull out from Cary the idea of, like, talk to me about who is Archibald Leach.
Right.
Come to find out that he was carrying this weight of his mother.
Yeah.
He thought as a young child his mother had died. And then to later find out that she wasn't dead. Yeah. She was in a mental institution. They just told him as a young boy that he was dead.
And he was
she was
poor
dead.
as dirt and had a different, like a more Cockney accent, which wouldn't lend to aristocracy. Right. So, you know, he really became like the lowest of the low to the highest of the high. But I have to say something about Hitchcock before we go any further, and that's the MacGuffin. Well, a MacGuffin is what Hitchcock perfected because it really doesn't matter. It's a thing that drives the plot, a thing that gets the characters into their momentum. They go on and they get this big quest, and ultimately the audience doesn't even care what it is. Right. Like, we know it's microfilm, but we don't know what's on it. We don't know what they're really doing. We know they're working for a foreign government. And, of course, there was the Red Scare back then. Everybody was afraid of Russia, which, like, is now, too. But the MacGuffin in North by Northwest, we don't even know why it is. Right. And nobody cares because they care more about Cary Grant running around, Eva Marie Saint, is she loyal or is she a seductress like Mata Hari? Hitchcock was a real creep. He loved blondes. He wanted Grace Kelly for this part. He did not want Eva Marie Saint. But Kelly, she had it all back then. She did whatever she wanted to do and she didn't feel like doing it. Or she was involved in something else. So he had Eva Marie Saint. And another thing he does is a trademark. Like Ingmar Bergman always has a clock. Hitchcock always has bathrooms in his movies. Like, think of Psycho. But Roger Thornhill, who is Cary Grant's character, he's running into the bathroom all the time.
I'm dressed up as Cary Grant today. Kind of an ad exec, Madison Avenue, kind of making lots of money, drinking martinis. And he gets wrongly accused of being this guy, George Kaplan.
Yes.
He's just wondering why, and they're trying to kidnap him, and he's got this goofy mother that doesn't believe anything that he says, and really throws him under the bus a couple times. But then to find out that the FBI is behind this whole thing, that George Kaplan doesn't exist. So spoiler alert: George Kaplan doesn't exist. But the villains think that this person does exist and insist that it's him. Right. So that's where this whole mystery, this what's going on kind of thriller.
And the crop duster scene, which it was so greatly done because the whole movie is running around and they're doing this and that and all these different machinations. But the crop duster scene had absolutely no music, completely stark. There's nothing around. And you say in your head, why the hell does a cab take him out to this place and there's nothing there? It's a cornfields. And then all of a sudden this guy comes up and he walks up to get the one bus that comes along. But you think he's a foe, you don't know. Mm-hmm. And at first when you see the crop duster, you go like, okay, it's a crop duster. And then the other guy goes, why are they dusting crops when there's no real crops here and everything is... So then you know something's up.
Going back to the train scene, there's been a lot of discussion. There's this one line.
I never discuss all but an empty stomach.
You've already eaten.
But you haven't.
But if you see her lips kind of it doesn't match the word. And reportedly, she used the word sex, but they couldn't get it past the censors. And they had to change that word, dub it. With a different voice, but a different word.
Well, this is really bizarre, too. You know where the title came from?
No.
Hamlet. There's a line in Hamlet.
I thought it came because of the plane. Isn't there a scene where there's a Northwest plane that comes over there?
There was a line in Hamlet called, I am but mad, north by northwest. And somebody read that. They didn't know what to name the picture, and they took it from Hamlet.
So today's question for Debbie, to test her knowledge.
I don't have much knowledge.
Now, this is something that audience listen into, because unless you had a watchful eye or you fell across it doing YouTube research, you probably wouldn't know. If you remember the scene where Cary Grant was approaching, I want to say Yves Saint Laurent. I don't know why it's in my head.
I'll help you.
Thank you. The blonde. And she shoots him?
Yes.
there's a scene, there's a goof in that scene. Do you know what the goof is? That's the question.
There's a kid that's laughing and jumps before.
Very good, Deb. I'm impressed.
Well, you know what? I'm a Hitchcock person. I had Hitchcock festivals, so that's the only reason I know that joke.
Yeah, if you take a look at really close, if you zoom in on
I don't know
it,
very much. But
there's that scene right before Cary, and they used, you know, the real sound of a gun firing. The kid, knowing that it was going to be shot, goes like this, and you can actually see the kid go like this before the gun is shot.
Luckily, people don't see it because their eyes are on Cary Grant. And also,
well, I didn't see it. I had to find that. I was like,
oh,
holy
really?
crap.
Oh, I've seen the movie probably 40 times.
No, this is my first time watching it.
Well, it's my friend Augie's favorite movie, so we have to watch it every once in a while. But another thing, let me just ask you a little question.
Sure, go ahead.
When he was in Grand Central Station,
Mm-hmm.
running all around, do you know who 2 extras were in the scene?
No.
George Romero and Larry Cohen.
Oh.
Yep, they were in it. They did everything to get in the movie business, and George Romero,
Who is
of
from
horror,
Yes.
it was in the scene.
And audience, now I have a question for you. Now we questioned each other. This one is for you. This is kind of like pop culture-ish. There's a actor in this movie that many of you, as you're watching this movie, are like, I know that guy. I know that guy. There's a character in this film who plays the henchman for James Mason's character, Philip Van Dam. Philip Van Dam. So Philip Van Dam's henchman, who is Martin Landau, played in a TV series. And if you love pop culture and you love murder mystery, kind of the series, spy-ish kind of series, he was in that. What series, TV series, was he in?
Let me say something about Martin Landau. He played the scene and brought it to, he wanted to do it as a gay person. I don't see it. I watched this movie 1,000 times.
Is he gay? I don't even know if he's gay.
No, but he was in love with Philip Van Dam, and he brought that. But it's so subtle, the old
That's
days.
very subtle. I didn't pick that up.
No, well, it's not like movies now. But it was so subtle because of the rating systems that actually he brought that he was obsessed with James Mason.
Yeah, you got the sense that they were he was more connected to James Mason's character.
Right.
Than Mason was to him. He could have just.
And I have a word for the day.
Yeah. Go for it.
James Mason was a saturnine villain, SaturninE, which means gloomy, calm, and deadly. The watch list today is all mistaken identity and spies, okay? Number 1, Charade from 1963. Romance and intrigue ensue in Paris as a woman, Audrey Hepburn, along with Cary Grant, is pursued by several men who want to get their hands on a fortune her murdered husband has stolen. She soon loses trust in those who claim they want to help her, and Cary Grant is her romantic interest. Of course, who's going to be, you know? We're going to go back to Marty Feldman now. Number 2, Foreign Correspondent from 1940, another Hitchcock film on the eve of World War II. A young American reporter, played by Joel McCrea, tries to expose enemy agents in London. And that is an early Hitchcock film. Okay. Number 3, Saboteur. Another Hitchcock about a young man, Robert Cummings, accused of sabotage, goes on the run to prove his innocence. It's a spectacular parallel at the Statue of Liberty, ending just like North by Northwest. And the actor Norman Lloyd, who chases Robert Cummings, lived to 106 years old. And he just died in 2021. Can you imagine? Dial M for Murder from 1954, one of Ray Milland's best performances. He plays a former tennis star who arranges the murder of his adulterous wife, played by Grace Kelly. And number 5, The 39 Steps from 1935. It's about a man in London who tries to help a counter-espionage agent. But when the agent is killed and the man stands accused, he must go on the run to save himself and stop a spy ring that is trying to steal top-secret information. It stars Robert Donat, who some might remember from Goodbye, Mr. Chips. And that's my watch list, Joe.
We agreed that this is a 9.
Yeah.
I could tell you why I didn't give it a 10.
Okay.
And then maybe you could share why you didn't give it that extra point.
Sure.
I hated the ending. I was so pissed at the ending.
that ending with the tunnel?
But where they're trying to grab her from Mount Rushmore, and they're trying to get her all of a sudden, like, transported into, like, the train. They're married, they're going to have sex. I'm like, what the hell just happened? It's another case of Hollywood. Well, let's button this up real quick, and let's get the product out. So I was not happy.
Well, I said, I like the ending because, first of all, that's the script. But the script just said they go into a train tunnel. Hitchcock thought that would be cool, that it implied sexuality, which everybody got that. They didn't get Martin Landau was gay. But the reason I gave it a 9 is it's one of the greatest Hitchcocks, but it's no Psycho and it's no Vertigo, in my opinion.
So that's interesting, because you've said in the past in Nosferatu that you have to look at a movie as a standalone.
I do, and that's why I gave it a 9.
But you started to compare this to other Hitchcock movies.
But I'm comparing
and then when I compare Nosferatu
pictures.
to the old Nosferatu, you're like, you can't do that. You got to look at it as a standalone.
No, you can compare them. But when an audience goes in and sees a film and they didn't know about these other one, the film has to have a standalone excellence. And Nosferatu is not a standalone film. It has too many holes and problems.
So, Deb, I'm ready to fly away. But where are we going to fly away to? So where are we going to fly away?
I have no idea where we're going. But I know one thing. We never know where we're going until we go there.